Live from the 301, live from the pot. I want to welcome my audience to episode number 231 of Curry in the Pot. I'm your host, your guy, Mike Curry, and I'm back another episode, man. It's been a minute. It's been a while since I did an episode. I did one maybe 3 weeks ago with my uncle, Coach Clean, assistant trainer Lamont Roach. Shout out to him. Shout out to Team No Excuse. Shout out to Lamont Roach Sr. Shout out to Lamont Roach Jr., of course. Shout out Jordan Roach. The whole team, No Excuse. Shout out to all of them over there doing their thing, repping the DMV proudly in the ring. But we got to switch gears a little bit, man. It's been a minute since you've seen me. It's been a minute since you've seen my co-host, man. So, Bink, what's good, man? What's going on, bro? We got quite a few things to talk about, man.
Not much going on, man. I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to be back, and like you said, we got a lot to talk about, so I'm excited to dive into everything.
Let's get right into it because I'm using this as part of the title. Michael Malone, head coach, former head coach of the Denver Nuggets, was fired today. A very shocking move. I know Taylor Jenkins was let go in similar fashion a couple of weeks ago by the Memphis Grizzlies, but this one comes as an absolute shocker to me. Like, yeah, the Taylor Jenkins thing was shocking, but this just it's very shocking to me. You got a coach who won you guys your only championship just a little less than 2 years ago, but 2 seasons ago. And now he's gone. You know, he's their all-time leader in wins. He has the most wins in NBA history. I'm sorry, most wins by a coach in the last 5 years. And it's just kind of nuts to me, man. But and they also let go of their GM Calvin Booth. So Michael Malone fired by the Denver Nuggets. Also, general manager Calvin Booth dismissed as well. What's your thoughts about this?
You know what the crazy part is? And I didn't even tell you this before we recorded this podcast, but and I'm mad at myself for not getting on this. I was gonna record a TikTok saying how I think the Nuggets have kind of hit their ceiling as a team, at least with this current like era with Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. And I didn't do it. And then all of a sudden they fired their head coach as soon as I got home. And I was like, man, I should have got on it. But I think this is kind of signaling them cleaning house because, like I said, I feel like they really hit their ceiling. And even you think about the championship that they won, it came right after the bubble, which all the teams who made the conference finals in the bubble, we all know didn't even make the second round of the playoffs the next year. That being, it was the Celtics, the Heat, Lakers. Oh, I guess the Nuggets made the finals, huh?
Yeah, they were the only
Because they
team.
made the conference finals, model. But yeah, they were the only team, and that came in a season where they didn't even have a top 10 defense in basketball, and they haven't had a top 10 defense in basketball in a minute. So, like I said, I think this is signifying a bit of a retool. The only problem with that is I think Jamal Murray's trade value is at an all-time low. Like, I don't
I
know,
think,
one, what team would.
yeah, I was gonna say I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was gonna say I don't think his trade value is that high. I also don't think Michael Porter Jr. is like I think he's the most valuable asset, but I don't think his trade value is like amazing either. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I would say his trade value is maybe like a Brandon Ingram type of trade value. Maybe. Maybe. Like
I mean,
that's
MPJ,
a
he's having a
comparable.
good season.
Yeah, he is. He is.
He's
But at
averaging 19 points a game on 40% from three. But
yeah, I
then
mean,
again, it's like how much do you think he gets those open looks without Jokic? And it's just like I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of stuck right now. I don't think there's a coach that you're gonna bring in that's gonna increase your ceiling as much as Michael Malone. And I also don't think there's a move you can make that can increase your ceiling right now. And it's kind of weird because you have the best player in the world on your team. I mean, we've seen Jokic, what, against the Pacers, what was it, 41, 16, and 13 or something like that?
yeah, damn,
He's a ridiculous player, but
60-point
at
triple
some
double
point,
games ago too.
at some point you need help.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was trying to find out who's replacing him. It's David Adelman. Is going to be the Nuggets interim. I believe he's the head coach of Rick Adelman, former NBA head coach. I didn't do my research on that, but I believe that's his son. I'm like 99% sure. Slap me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, I think they hit their ceiling as well. I mean, they had some key departures after winning that championship. You know, Bruce Brown left. The following year, KCP left in free agency. Shout out Jalen.
Uh,
40 mil.
about that, because a lot of that was dealing with the second apron stuff. And then CJ McCullough made a tweet right after Michael Malone got fired talking about
Seen
how the
that.
NBA is crazy. The top comment was like, bro, this is all your fault. That was
They say it's partially your fault or something like that. But that's so true though. That's so true. But I mean, I kind of thought, obviously they lost some keeps. They lost like some glue guys. Like Bruce Brown was a key part of that championship team. Contavious Caldwell Pope, one of the ultimate glue guys, 3 and D guy, two-time champion for a reason. And I thought, getting Russell Westbrook was kind of like a desperation move that has panned out depending on how you look at it. Because obviously we
no,
talk about
Russ
the
has been a
temp.
good player this year.
Yeah, if we talk about
We're
depending on
not
who you,
gonna nitpick one game out of 82. I'm not doing this. I'm not nitpicking one game out of 82. I'm not doing that.
like I said, depending on who you talk to, they might say that. But Russell Westbrook, I would say to the Nuggets has worked. Um, but yeah, they're at a stalemate.
Even Christian Brown has stepped up,
Yeah, he has. But
but
I don't know what's next. I don't know what's next. And I guess this is a good segue into another topic I wanted to discuss with you. The NBA standings, specifically in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, I'm sorry, Western Conference. And with that being said, things are going to change by the time people might even listen to this episode, but this will be out today. But as currently constructed, you have the Thunder, who are at the 1 seed. You have the Rockets, who are at the 2 seed. Pretty much, I would say they locked it up in a sense, but
they
not.
have a 98% chance to get
Yeah,
the two seed. If they
yeah,
somehow don't get the two seed,
yeah. So
it'll
I'm
be a
like,
mess.
yeah, they're gonna be the 2 seed. You have the Lakers, who
Shout
are
out Ime Udoka.
all right, bro. Come here with that Celtic stuff, man.
He's done a phenomenal job
Still
there.
should be your coach. Still should be your coach.
The Rockets, even with I don't know we're going on a little I'm going on a little bit of tangent here, but the Rockets, even with very negative floor spacing, they don't have really many shooters, still have a top 10 offense and defense in basketball. And I think that has a lot to do with coaching because they've run out lineups there sometimes where it's Amin Thompson, Steven Adams, and Alperen Şengün, and they still just be getting buckets.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that. That's true. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. That you definitely have to give. I think he's a really good coach.
And
I think he's at least a top 10 coach in the league.
there's a stat. They have a 46% offensive rebounding percentage with that lineup in, meaning if they miss it,
There's
half the time they getting the board back to put it back up and in. So it don't matter.
Nah, I mean that's a pretty good stat to point out. But back to the standings, we have the Lakers currently at the 3 seed. And then the Nuggets are the 4 seed, a game and a half back behind the Lakers. And then after that, that's where it gets really, really interesting. You have,
I'm about to say, isn't every team like 46 and 32 or something like that?
yeah, so you have the Clippers who are 46 and 32, currently the 5th seed. Golden State Warriors have 46 and 32, currently the 6th seed. Minnesota Timberwolves 46 and 32, currently the 7th seed. And the Grizzlies 46 and 32, currently the 8th seed. That's going to all change. Not all, but some of it's going to change tomorrow, by tomorrow. Like, just it has to, because there's games involved in some of these teams tonight. I would say most of them, if not all. But um, crazy stuff going on in the West. But what do you make of those standings, man? And maybe what matchups would you like to see? Because in some ways, we're not going to get everything we would like to see. But what do you think's going to happen? You might not even be able to predict that. But just talk to
I'm
me.
about to say I don't even want to. I don't even want to throw my hat in predicting that, but I did make it. Like I said, I made a TikTok about the standings and the matchups I want to see, and I think the matchup I most want to see, whether it's the 4-5 matchup or the 3-6 matchup, based on how things play out, I want to see Lakers versus Warriors for 7 games. And I know that's the ESPN answer and all
If the
that, but
playoffs started
some
today, that would be the matchup. Just want to point
I
that.
want to see LeBron versus Steph, and then you
You
also
don't
got
want to.
Luka and Jimmy Butler.
You don't want to see that, bro.
Hmm?
You don't want to see that.
I-
You saw what we did
Y'all
to
just
them
lost to
2 years
them.
ago,
Y'all just lost to them a couple days ago.
bro. Bro. We also lost to the Chicago Bulls 2 weeks ago. What does that mean?
I'm just saying, I feel like in a playoff series,
And Luka
Even that series
in that
two,
game, by the way.
even that series 2 years ago, what didn't it go six?
It went 6. Shout out Lonnie Walker.
Yeah, I think it can go seven. I don't even think that's the crazy thing to
We
say.
beat them boys in 6, I promise you.
The Warriors have been borderline unbeatable with Steph and Jimmy Butler in the lineup. Obviously, they lost to the Rockets. What
And Steph Curry
Saturday
had how
night,
many
Sunday
points in
night?
that game? Tell the people.
He had five, but
Okay,
y'all don't have Amin Thompson on y'all team.
that's fine. We got Vando.
Okay, all right, yeah, I want to see I want to see that for 7 games. I feel like that's the series I want to see. Another series I want to see, I guess with Michael Malone out, I don't know how this would go, but Timberwolves Nuggets. The Timberwolves have beaten them 4 straight times this year in the regular season. We obviously know they played last year in the playoffs, went seven. Played the year before that in the playoffs. I believe that went five. So this will be the third straight year we see that in the playoffs. This time in the first round again. So it'll be interesting. The Timberwolves have been really good as of recently, even with Julius Randle in the lineup. Anthony Edwards has been
Told you
amazing
Julius
this
Randle
year,
will
and
work, man.
on the other side, it's all right. It's not as good. They were the 3 seed last. They almost made the NBA Finals last year. They have no chance of doing that this year.
Hey, yo.
I'm not saying it worked. They might even let Julius Randle walk this offseason or sign and train him for KD. So who even knows what happens? But yeah. And then the other side you have the Nuggets, who we don't even know if Jamal Murray's going to be back for the playoffs yet. Because before Michael Malone exited, he was saying he doesn't know if he's going to be back for the playoffs. But it's still Jokic versus Gobert. We know how that's gonna go at the end of the day. It's not a rivalry. Jokic is gonna dominate. So that's another series I would like to see. But is there as a Lakers fan, who do you want to see in the first round?
Memphis. I think that's easy.
I feel like everybody wants to see Memphis.
I
I
think
feel like
that I think that's easy work. But
I feel like that's who everybody wants to see.
I think that's what I would want to see as a Lakers fan. But I think for Memphis, like just super fun, I would like to see Memphis Houston. I think that would be a fun series. Like it's just a bunch of young guys hooping. And I think the Grizzlies,
Then
I
that
think they
probably
match
means
up
then
with them
that
kind of well.
if the matchups go how we just said in the three matchups we want to see, then they'll put us with Clippers Thunder as well. And the Clippers have won what 13 of the last 15 games. They've been on a heater recently.
Yeah, I wanted to talk.
Kawhi has looked like his former self. James Harden has been amazing in his minutes. It's like the Clippers team is really good, and
Shout out Zubac
I
as
feel like I
well.
always fall. I always fall for like the Clippers trap every year, especially because I really like Tyronn Lue. But depending on the matchup the Clippers get in the first round, I will pick them. I've told myself that, but the only thing is, I've told myself that if they play the Rockets in the first round, I'm going to pick the Rockets because the Rockets are the better team. I think I've said that about the Rockets in any first round series, that I'm going to pick the Rockets, even though everybody else is probably going to be against it.
No, that's fair. I mean, they do have a lot of youth, but they also have some vets on that team. You got NBA champ Fred VanVleet. You got Jeff Green, who's been around the way. You got Steven Adams, who's been around
Internet
as
troll.
well. You said who?
Internet troll.
Dylan Brooks. Oh yeah, Dylan Brooks. I mean, even even some of the young guys have been in the league for a little minute. Like Şengün and Jalen Green have been around for a little minute. Like they're
Sorry,
not
Easton been around for a minute.
those guys have been around for a few years. Like they still been around for a while. Like the only true young puppy is Mint Thompson, but they got some guys that have been around, and like I said, I already mentioned the key vets. So I think the Rockets, man, I don't think they have a chance to go to the finals, but I think like this is like a sign of good things to come for them in the
If
future.
they get the right matchups, though, I don't think conference finals is out of the realm of
No, it's not.
possibility.
No, it's definitely that's definitely not off the.
And then we saw the way they just beat up on the Thunder. I know the Thunder are probably coasting through the rest of the regular season. They're what 14, 15 games up on everybody else, so it doesn't really matter. But obviously I'm not gonna say they're gonna make the finals. I don't think I'll say that, but I don't think conference finals is out of the realm of possibility, especially if they get the right matchups.
Yeah. No,
Like if in the second round they get the Warriors or something like that, I think they can make the conference finals.
I agree with that.
But
The Lakers are making the finals. By the way, they're winning the entire West. I'm gonna say
anyway,
they, bro.
I
See, I didn't even want to go there, But did you see what we did to the Thunder the other day? I wasn't even trying to go there.
I just literally gave them a pass for coasting, so I got to give them the same pass for coasting. Y'all play them again on Tuesday. We'll see what happens on Tuesday.
Uh,
But here's the
Might do.
thing:
I think I
y'all
think I
literally
think
made
players.
y'all no.
I think we're gonna be resting players tonight. We got the Mavericks tonight.
But here's my thing: y'all literally made every shot in that game. It's not like it was like a schematic thing where y'all are just like schematically beating them. Y'all just got hot and made y'all shots. Now, will that happen 4 out of 7 games?
Yeah,
Probably not.
yeah.
I don't think y'all are just gonna get hot 4 out of 7 games.
No, no. I'm just trolling for real. But
Yeah.
we guys were making wide open shots. I don't know what else to say. Guys are making open shots, bro. They doing their job.
Yeah, they are doing their job, but will that happen come playoff time?
No, it's not because that's unrealistic. But I think the Lakers can definitely beat the Thunder. Like I think
You know how I felt all season. I think the West is the Thunders to lose, even though the West is ultra competitive. I still believe it's the Thunders to lose.
no for sure. And I'm not just trying to like victory lap and because I know the circumstances. Like yes, the Thunder they won the conference like a month ago. So I'm not trying to like not trying to like victory lap it, but what I'm saying is like I think like let's say we don't make every shot, the game is close. We're not smacking them, but if we don't make every shot, the game's close. So I think that's a good. I feel confident, and I already felt confident about the Lakers because we play up to competition. Clearly, we play down. We lost to the Bulls twice. We lost to the Magic, and we should have lost to the Pacers. But like when it's time to play them upper echelon teams, you seen what we did to the Nuggets,
Hey,
smoked them. Seen what we did to the Knicks,
I don't
smoked.
like the way you talked about the Pacers like that.
They're, they're not a contender. Okay,
They're
that's
one of they're one of only 5 teams with above 500 records against teams above 500.
are the Pacers a contender, Garnett?
It's them, the Thunder, the Cavs,
Oh,
the Celtics.
oh my.
I'm not saying they're a contender. I'm not saying they're a contender, but if there was any team to make the conference finals in the Eastern Conference that wasn't the Cavs or the Celtics, I think my next team up would be the Pacers.
All right, good to know that's not gonna happen. Praying for health. But yeah, I get what you're saying, but you get what I'm saying. You get exactly what I'm saying.
Like the Pacers are a better team than the Nuggets right now. I don't think that's a crazy
No,
thing
no,
to say.
that's not a hot take. That's not a hot take. That's not. But I
Shoot,
feel
the Pacers just
also
beat the Nuggets a couple nights
they
ago.
did. They did. But I just don't. I mean, it's just like it's the Pacers, bro. It's like it's the Pacers. Like how you feel, like how you used to say it's the Magic. Like it's the Pacers, bro. Come on, bro.
No, but the Magic were like a
No, they
revolving
were trash.
Tennessee
They
when
were
I
they
see
were a
it.
lottery team, but it's like it's the Pacers, bro. Like who takes them serious besides people that don't live in Indiana?
Hey man, they gave us 4 very competitive games last year. All those games came down to the wire against the Pacers last year in the conference finals.
Halliburton was banged up too. That is true. That is true, man. But
All I'm saying is they're a really good team.
they're a cool
I don't
regular
think
season
they're
bunch. I look at them. Sorry to cut you. I look at them like the Raptors before the Raptors won, because obviously they got Kawhi,
yeah
like the DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry Raptors, and I look at them like the Donovan Mitchell Jazz. Like that's how I look at them.
yeah.
Like they're not winning, bro. They need
If the
everything.
Pacers played the Knicks in the series, even though I don't think it's no possible way for that to happen, but if the Pacers somehow play the Knicks in the series, I'm picking the Pacers in 6. I'm done with the Knicks.
It looks very unlikely, but it look Pacers. Pacers. Who would you want if you're the Pacers? I mean, probably the Bucks because Dame's out. But would you want
Yeah.
them or the Pistons? I would guess you would say
No,
the
I want the Pistons. I want the Pistons. I want the Pistons. I want the Pistons.
or okay. Well,
I don't want to. I don't
that
want to
looks
have to
like that's
even
who
deal with
they're
Giannis.
gonna play one of those two teams.
I don't want to have to even deal with Giannis.
Hey yo, because
Yeah,
Giannis do be
give me the
killing the
Pistons.
Pacers too. He be getting like 50
Yeah,
and 18 on them.
yeah. Yeah, give me the Pistons, bro.
And
I
and
think the
it's real
Pacers.
smoke between them two teams too. But
She was real smoke between them and the Pistons. Isaiah Stewart, I forgot what he said. Isaiah Stewart said something about the Pacers, but Isaiah Stewart be saying stuff about everybody. So
cause a crash out. He'll crash out. But let's move on. This segment was fun. That was fun. But I don't think this one will be a long-winded segment. But gotta congratulate the Florida Gators winning a national championship last night against Houston. And also on Sunday, gotta shout out the Uconn Lady Huskies for winning against South Carolina. They smacked them up too. But you
I'm about
got
to say that game was over before it really started.
yeah, no, it really was. You got any thoughts about either of these two teams? I just wanted to shout them out because they're national champions. So talk to me.
Shout out Paige. You know she got that picture with that Kevin Garnett jersey on that
Shout out AZ
circulating
Fudd
around.
too. Shout out AZ Fudd, DMV.
Yeah, shout out AZ Fudd.
And Sarah Strong too. She gonna be the best player in the country in like 2 years. Like she's that good.
Yeah. I mean, you know me, I don't really follow college basketball until it gets to March Madness.
Yeah, same.
So, well, can we talk about the Final Four in
Yes,
general?
yes. No, 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 no. Let's talk about Duke because Houston should have not been in the national championship. If
Yeah,
we're being all the
yeah.
way honest. I don't know how that happens. Up seven with what 33 seconds, 35, something like that. How
Not only that, they were up like 17.
they were in full control of the game. They were in
And
control
bro,
of like
being up by double digits in college basketball in the second half is like the equivalent of being up by like 23 in the third quarter of an NBA game.
it is.
It was no reason they should lose that. And I was talking about this with my boss for my internship because he hates Duke. But I was just like,
He just
people
like
keep talking about like the over the back call and you can't call that. And we both said the same thing. They shouldn't even have been in that position
yeah,
to the
nah,
point where
it
that
should
one
never
call is
came
deciding the
down to
game.
that.
It should have never came down to that. And Cooper Flag, he got a good shot at the buzzer. It just didn't go in. Just didn't bounce in his way.
As a Duke fan, um, actually, let me say this. First of all, that shouldn't have happened. Secondly, this is what happens when your team is mostly youth. Even though Tyrese Proctor, who's a junior guard, he did not play well at all, and he shoots 60 something percent from the free throw line. That's unacceptable I think that's unacceptable for any player, but it's unacceptable as a guard. Um,
Yeah.
but youth, man, youth. Duke had a bunch of freshmen. But this has been their team. This has been the DNA of their team for years. Even when Coach K was still around, they had a bunch of youth. And you look at Houston; those are grown men. You look at Florida as well, grown men. Auburn, especially, grown men. Those are the other two teams.
Auburn
Those are
ordered
other
than the Thunder.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Those are other teams that were in the Final Four. So, I mean, yeah, I wanted Duke to win, but their inexperience showed big time when it got clutch, man, in the close moments and minutes of that game, and even blowing that lead too, it just shows that your team is young and inexperienced. So yeah. But did you have any thoughts on
You
the
know, this
national
is
championship?
um it was very unfortunate the way it came down from Houston. Houston also kind of collapsed in the national championship as well.
Yeah,
Let's be
yeah,
real.
they were up. They were up. And then it just became a back and forth late, but they were up.
And they had full control of the game, and then Florida kind of just kept chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. And the way they were able to do it without Walter Clayton Jr. stepping up for real was very impressive.
I do. I felt like watching that game. Like I was supposed to come sit down and say, "Man, shout out to Houston for actually guarding Walter Clayton." Cause like nobody else was guarding this dude the whole tournament, and he ended up hit. I know he hit a shot late. He hit a three late. He came off like a double screen and hit a three late. But I mean, for the most part, they did a good job against them. Um, Houston, they played their style of basketball and still lost. So it is definitely unfortunate. And the fact that they didn't get a real shot off is crazy. It's
Yeah, that
crazy.
was that was insane. This is a little off topic, but you know how we were just talking about Giannis?
Yeah.
The NBA sent me a notification. I didn't know over the last 3 games he was averaging 36, 12, and 13,
Yes, he
shooting
always
64% from the field.
he Yo, he's been on a heater lately.
They said only Will has matched those numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah, respectfully, get that problem to the Knicks. I want the Pistons
he had like a 20 assist game a couple of games ago.
against the. I believe it was against Philly.
20. I would have never thought Giannis would have a 20 assist game. I'm being real, but shout out to him. But I want to switch
Just
gears.
imagine if he had like I don't know, like a Drew Holiday type of like a glue Drew Holiday type of player on his team.
I know, man. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
Dang, that's awful, man. That's awful. They could be. They could. Hey, yo, I saw somebody tweet before we move on to football. I saw somebody tweet. They said Kyle Kuzma's been terrible. Like he's been terrible. Like
he probably has.
they said they said he's a shot creator that doesn't make shots and he doesn't do anything else
I
well.
think he was cool when Dame was first on the team. When he was there and Dame was on the team too, because he was the third option. He didn't have to create that many shots. Now he's the second primary option again, and I just don't think that's his role.
It's not his game. It's not his
I
game.
had a question. I do have a question though. This is another thing about the Bucks that somebody brought up on Twitter. I know hindsight is like 2020 and all, but do you still do the Drew for Dame trade, knowing Drew Holiday goes to the Celtics in that trade? Because obviously at first they didn't know that, and then they completed that to make the four teams work.
No. You saying do I do the trade or do they do it?
Yes. Well, do I think they do it. I still think they do it again because Giannis wanted Dame on the team, but
I mean, when you put it like that, yeah, they wanted to make their star player happy. They wanted to make the best player in the history of their franchise. And even though they had Oscar Robertson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, they wanted to make him happy. Um, so I guess from that standpoint, yeah. But it's just like I don't know, bruh. I don't know because it's like, dang, if you know that the Celtics are gonna get him, do you just reroute that dude to somewhere else and maybe get? But I also don't think a player of Dame's caliber was even available at the time either.
yeah.
Because like
I think the only other player available at the time probably was like Bradley Beal or something like that.
yeah, yeah. So it's like maybe they still do it, and maybe they are more aggressive in acquiring something else. I don't know. But that's a good point. That's interesting. I never even thought of it like that. Never thought of that.
And in that trade, Tumani Kamara got shipped from the Suns to the Blazers, so
LOL Suns.
for Yusuf Nurkic.
LOL Suns. But let's move on because I thought this was interesting. I wanted to talk NFL draft, but I really wanted to talk.
16 days away.
We are 16 days away. I really wanted to talk Mel Kiper's latest mock draft, which correlates with what I saw with what you sent me yesterday about the Saints being the betting favorites to land Shador Sanders, which also correlates with you having Shador Sanders going to the Saints about at least a month ago.
Yeah, it had to be a month ago.
At,
It was
at
a
least
minute ago.
at worst, you had stamped this a month ago. So talk to me about, obviously the betting market moving around to it, and obviously Mel Kiper coming around to it. Talk to me about that and why you saw it first. Just talk to me about that.
I think it's gonna sound a little cliche, but it just made a lot of sense. Just because one, you bring in a new head coach in Kellen Moore, he's probably gonna want a new quarterback. That's normally what coaches do. And you could get out of Derek Carr's contract next year. A lot of people don't believe that, even though you can have your own opinions about Shador, some people don't believe Shador is ready to start immediately day one going into the NFL. So why not have him sit behind Derek Carr for a year, learn the ropes from Kellen Moore, learn the NFL offense, learn NFL styles. While if you're a team like the Saints, you're not in no rush to put Shador out. You're not going to be good next year. Maybe I shouldn't say you're not going to be good. You're not going to be like ready to compete
You're not gonna have
for
a commander
anything in the
type of
playoffs
year.
next
You're
year.
not gonna have a commander's year.
Yes,
Yeah.
you don't, and you don't expect that from Shador. So one, the expectations are lower. Two, you can actually sit back and develop a quarterback. We've seen teams do that with the Packers with Jordan Love. I mean, the Chiefs with Mahomes. Even when they have a quarterback, take one because you like the quarterback. One, two. Shador's not going to be there in the second round. Like I know a lot of people talk about him falling.
Yeah.
At the absolute worst, Shador's probably ends up at 21 to the Steelers. Let's be real. That's probably the absolute floor for Shador. So you're not going to get him in the second round. Are you comfortable with taking Jackson Dart or even Jalen Milroe in the second round? Probably not. So you take Shador at 9. You get your quarterback of the future, and you work from there. So now when you have a top pick next year, which you're likely to have, you can just take best player available. I just feel like that makes the most sense rather than forcing a quarterback next year.
Okay, so another question I had was, um, I mean, I'm sure you're gonna say it makes sense, but talk to the people who don't know why it makes sense. Like, talk to me about Saints have pick 9. Talk to me about the 8 picks before that. Like, maybe you have on your mock.
Um, I do have him out coming out in 2 days actually, but early in the draft, like Cam Ward's probably going to go one, even though I don't think it should be Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's going to go one. It seems like the Browns are leaning towards, like all reports, like Adam Schefter and whatever are saying Travis Hunter at 2 to the Browns.
Seeing
Then
that.
at three, then at 3, if you're the Giants, people have been talking about a trade down, but I feel like you just take the best player available on Abdul Carter because that's going to make that Giants defense actually a little insane.
No, I was just
You
thinking
talk
about that. I'm like, yo, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carr.
Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, even whatever's left of Kayvon Thibodeau, and then they just signed Paulson Adebo this offseason. That defense is going to be insane if that actually happens. And who has picked for the Patriots?
Yep.
That's kind of where the draft, I guess, starts. But it's like the Patriots, they're probably going to try to get more for Drake May. So you're thinking Will Campbell or Armin Membu, maybe even Ashton Genty, but that's a long shot.
Yeah.
At 5, Jacksonville's going to go defense.
I've been
Whether
seeing what, Mason
it's
Graham.
Mason Graham or maybe Jalen Walker, which Jalen Walker's getting a bunch of hype right now, the edge rusher linebacker hybrid from Georgia. He has a meeting with the Browns today. And I'm like, number 2 is kind of crazy, but I don't think that'll happen. But
We done seen crazy things happen in the draft.
if Jalen Walker goes at 2, I might do a backflip in your living room on draft night because I don't. Jalen Walker was my guy too. I made a full TikTok about him, but 2 is kind of crazy. The Raiders didn't have pick 6, so that's probably going to be Genty. And then if Genty's off the board, you would assume it's going to be a defensive player, like I said, one of Mason Graham or Jalen Walker. So then when you're looking going down the board, maybe 7 the Jets take a stab at Shador, but then it's a lot going on with the Jets right now. We know the Brees Hall rumors are around.
I
They
seen
could also go
I seen
defense.
I seen Aaron Glenn said they want to run 3 running back system or use all 3 of their
Yeah,
backs.
and then Brees Hall proceeded to tweet out a facepalm emoji. So I don't think he wants to be there. Also, he's on the last year of his deal. I don't think they want to give him an extension, especially knowing that you got to give Sauce and Garrett Wilson extensions next year. I just don't think a Brees Hall extension is really on the table, especially for a team that's not that good.
Yeah, they're not good.
So who knows what the Jets do? The Jets probably should take best player available, and they already have 2 quarterbacks on the roster, that being Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields. So I don't expect them to take a third one. And let's pick 8. The Panthers.
Panthers.
They
They're
might go
not.
receiver
They're not. Right?
or best defense player available. So Shador kind of just is like falling, and eventually he's gonna stop falling. Whether even if it isn't at the Saints at 9, maybe a team trades back up into the first round. We've seen that happen previously, but the Saints, they seem like the perfect landing spot for Shador.
I think it makes sense, honestly, when you break it down like that, and considering the Saints' needs. I wanted to ask you not only just because it's like, all right, well he's sliding, but like because usually quarterbacks get talked up. Like we had Carson Wentz, Jared Goff go 1-2 one year. Like why is he
Shoot, Will
falling?
Levis was getting talked up a few years ago.
Yeah, that's true. But why is he falling? Is it because I'm hearing people are saying he's arrogant and people are saying, he's just not all that. But depending on who you talk to, some people are saying he's NFL ready. I I'm one of those people that think, hey, he's shown a lot of stuff in college. Didn't really have like he wasn't like how these quarterbacks or like players they be at like Alabama. You got the best offensive line, you got the best receivers in the world. Like yeah, he had Travis Hunter and stuff like that, but his offensive line was trash, and he never really had a good running game either. So he's dealt with some of those like non-ideal situations that a quarterback that gets drafted early is going to have to deal with coming in. They're not going to have, everything around them perfectly. It's not going to align like that. So I'm actually higher on Shador than most, but again, why do you think he's falling? Like, again, is it because people perceive him to be arrogant? People perceive him to not be that good? I know people have talked about his arm strength, how it's not great, good, but not great. Just talk to me about what you think.
I think the main reason he's falling is kind of one factor out of his control for two different teams. When you look at the Browns and Giants and like Joe Shane and Brian Dable for the Giants and then Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski for the Browns, those regimes are kind of on their last leg.
Yeah.
So
It's
when you
like we're
talk
not
about their
gonna we're
picks
not
at
gonna
two and
jump out
three, it's
there
just kind of like,
and take a risk. We're not gonna do that because we might not have jobs.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, you might as well just take the best player available. So that's one thing that I think is going to keep them from falling. And then just look at what those two teams have done this offseason. The Browns, like it or not, they're still paying Deshaun Watson $60 million. They invested draft capital, albeit a fifth round pick, to trade for Kenny Pickett. I don't think you do that and then draft a quarterback at two. I just feel like that's not that good of a use of resources, especially when your team is
especially
bad.
especially when they're supposed to be. People are saying that both Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are generational talent. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That generational work gets thrown around a lot. I think Abdul is
I think Travis
I
Hunter
don't
is
want to say
definitely generational,
I
but
think Travis Hunter's generational. I think Abdul is a once in every 3 years type of prospect. Let's go with that. But and then for the Giants, they signed Russell Wilson, they signed Jameis Winston. And I know people say Jameis Winston doesn't really stop you. You already have DeVito on the roster. You can only carry three quarterbacks.
yeah,
I just don't think Shador really fits into that equation. I
yeah,
mean, you could pick him at three and then realistically cut Jameis, but I don't think Russ signs there if he doesn't think he's going to start.
yeah. No, it just don't make sense. And I know, and even though Tommy DeVito is QB3, I believe that they like him there. Like I believe they like the
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, that's why I was like, I don't really think it's factors in his control. I mean, you even see people talking about him patting the ball now. Like people are talking about anything
They're
to
throwing me off, bro. They throwing me off saying that stuff, bro.
people are talking about anything. So at this point, you're right. I do think quarterbacks normally get propped up, and like Cam Ward is a very arrogant person. Like we've seen that in his matchups with Shador. So I don't even understand why Shador gets the arrogant tab and Cam Ward doesn't. Cam Ward is more labeled as confident, but I
Yeah.
think Cam Ward's a good player. But I feel
I think it's
like
also because some people don't like Dion too. So
yeah,
there's that. There's that. But I don't have anything else to add if you don't. But this was a good episode, man. Honestly, just catching up on some things, just talking. There's going to be more episodes, so hopefully we can get an in-person joint soon. Um, Maybe get a live stream going during the draft. That'll be lit too. That'll be lit. We could get something popping, bro. We're gonna have some fun, man. But I want to thank everybody for listening. Thank everybody for continued love and support. I'm your somebody got Mike Curry. I'm signing out. Episode number 231 is done. Peace.
peace.